Hey, what's going on?
Oh,
Hello.
hey!
Blessings to you, Carol.
Hey,
So good to see you.
good to see you. Lovely book, lovely introduction.
Yeah, that's Nabiha's book, her one of her new books. It's Worlds Within Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get that. I need to get it. I'll go on Amazon and order one.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. How are you? How you been?
It's been a journey.
Tell us about it.
Uh,
Yeah,
sorry.
tell us about it.
Um, it's I've been everywhere. So I've moved from home
Mhm.
Hmm.
and I came to the US to do my
Oh,
PhD. Yeah.
okay.
So it has been weird. But yeah, it's 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 different. It's different from home. The food here as well. I don't know if you remember the last time I did the fast with you and but it was a long time ago.
The Pranic family.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Pranic family.
Hmm.
And yeah, after that I went back to eating and so coming here and experiencing the food that they eat here, I'm like, oh, it's so unnatural. Food rots very quickly. And it's like, oh no,
Welcome to
I need to
America.
I need to go back to, just eating good food because my health is being compromised right now a
Hmm.
lot. But
Hmm. Hmm.
there's a lot I've just been shifting though, a lot of things that have been revealed to me about myself and my traumas and my childhood and a lot to heal.
Hmm.
So I just need that time to heal and find the space to just heal and only through foods. I think not eating, I can get to that space again. But yeah, I've been going through it. It's a roller coaster.
Life is a roller coaster, right? It's a
Yeah.
roller coaster ride. So,
Yeah.
if I remember right, you in South Africa, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In South Africa, my kids are still there.
Okay.
I'm a bit afraid of bringing them here. I'm in Newark, so Newark is not very safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
Um,
my next question about your kids. If you brought them
yeah,
with you. Okay. Wow.
but I have to get them and continue with them because I want to travel everywhere with them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that they can experience as well. But I need to settle myself, I guess, first,
Yeah.
and then I bring them in. Hmm.
When you figure out what right foods and whatnot.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in the regular stores, unless you have your own little farm or if you go to some farms or if you just collaborate with these farmers. That's
Yeah, I just found out actually I had a chat today with someone who's also into it's funny that when you start like looking into healing and food, you always find someone or someone will like something will come up, I don't
yeah.
have to go to ShopRite anymore. So she told me about farmers markets around, so I'll go check them out soon.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
you see, you find your tribe. No matter where you are in the world, you will find your tribe.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. And Nabiha, you can empathize with, what Carol is saying about wanting to take her children, around the world.
Yeah, I have been traveling with my kids since they were little babies. So coming from Europe, we have seen a lot of countries because it's just right around there. But I took two of my kids here to the United States before I figured out about the food,
Mm.
and they came here as a non-eaters, and then they left here as a eaters. They learned how to eat fast food, literally.
Yeah.
Every day was, and then I have noticed that they crave fast food. It's like a drug. My son will be, oh, I want some canes. I want some canes, and I never understood that. But it's the fast food that has some drugs
Mhm.
in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
something
they
has.
definitely put
Yeah.
drugs in it. I
Yeah.
tried fast foods as well. So when I went on that rabbit hole, I was like, oh no, no, no. I need to I need to do something because I cannot I'll probably die here or something if I
Mm.
continue with the with the food that they.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because everything else is like when I try to eat rice and legumes, they don't taste good. Like, but
They're
only the
not as
fast
nice.
food tastes really good. There's these cookies. I was like,
Is it
uh,
the same in South Africa? It's the same fast food over there?
no, not at all. It's not the
There's
same.
nothing like
Uh,
America.
yeah.
There is nothing like
Because I
America.
remember, I mean, I seen a McDonald's in
They
Italy.
do,
I remember I was in.
but even the McDonald's over there is not the same as here.
Okay.
Even
Yeah.
the, yeah, the McDonald's in Norway and the McDonald's here is not the same. My niece was traveling not long ago, and she said she stopped at a McDonald's in Netherlands,
Mhm.
and she said, "Oh my God, it's so different. I felt like I was eating at a fancy restaurant. The burger tastes different. Everything was different."
Yeah.
Wow.
We are not allowed to use some of the ingredients that they use here. Europe is not allowed to use them. It's a lot of
Mm.
things that are banned in Europe that you can use in America.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah, like I remember hearing, there's a guy, his name is Nuri Muhammad. He's a, you know, big practitioner when it comes to, things like Brother Minister talking about the prophet Elijah, the Honorable Elijah, talking about, things like Malcolm X. You're just advocating, suit, bow tie, Nuri Muhammad. And he calls McDonald's McDevils.
Mm.
He calls Burger King Murder King. He calls Taco Bell Taco Hell. He called Chick-fil-A Sick-fil-A, right? And like he looked up the ingredients. He looked up like undercover, and he found like I think over 30 or 40 man-made chemicals in the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Yeah.
Like in the sandwich alone, he was like, "Oh yeah, they're really selling, dope out here. This is drugs.
Drugs.
These are drugs."
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is dope. Like if you just see the children how they feeling for it, it is dope. It is dope,
Mm.
and it's always in the sauce.
Oh
Mm.
They put it in the
yeah.
sauce. Yeah.
It's in the secret sauce, huh?
Like if you look at the Chick-fil-A sauce, I saw a little box on the table at my sister's house, and I looked at that little box of sauce. They had more than 50 ingredients in there.
Wow.
More than 50 ingredients in there.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, it
great.
doesn't make sense. And have you seen the bread here in the United States?
Oh, it's
Oh
horrible.
man, there was a lady. Did you see? There was a lady in her. I think
The
this lady's in
sugar.
her 80s or 90s. She. I'll bring the video. I'll send you the video. But she has a burger, a preserved burger from like 24 years ago,
Yeah.
from McDonald's, and it's
Mhm.
still intact. The burger is still intact.
Hmm.
The patty is still intact. The bun is still intact. The fries are still intact. They look like they could have fallen in between your couch cushions. Like the fries are still together. Nothing has like nothing has decomposed. It's still,
It's like a space
yeah,
food.
from like decades ago. She pulls it out of the wrapper like she's like, this is the burger. It's still here.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I know
Very scary.
someone that kept it from 2006 and they still have it. And that burger is still the same. I know someone personally actually that did that.
That's
I,
crazy.
yeah, I kept my burgers to just to check. I've experimented on that, but I just didn't have it long enough. But yeah, that thing stays. hmm
Yeah.
When I saw the bread on the stores, I'm like, in Norway, every 3 days or every 2 days, you have to change because it expires. Because they're freshly baked.
Yeah.
Here, you can have it for weeks and you don't want even see a little green in it.
Oh
Oh
my God.
yeah. I haven't.
They
I
don't
just have
die.
to throw it away after 5 days, but
Exactly.
not because it's rotten. Like,
hmm Yeah,
just
it's
because it's
rotten.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
sweet too. They put a lot of sugar in the bread.
Yeah.
So
It's just sugar.
yeah.
What's going on?
Hello.
Shout out to Trevor
Hey.
Connors.
Up, yeah?
TC. My brother
We're having a
TC.
party.
Thank you for having me. I'm just enjoying your guys' presence.
Thank you for coming
Awesome.
in and joining us.
Thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate having you, man. How's it been going with you? Like, how's everything with you and the family?
Fantastic. I resonate a lot with what you're saying. Me and Kaylee both do because uh, we actually go to local farmers markets only, and most of the stuff that we'll get is like very organic or not sprayed or a multitude of other things. But family's fantastic. You know, family's great. We just celebrated our 3 years, uh, our anniversary. So yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Congrats. Congrats, brother. 3 years. 3 years, man. I mean, in these 3 years, what do you feel like has been one of the greatest things that you know, that you've learned, that you've enjoyed? What has been most gratifying and satisfying of these 3 years?
Women are the most advanced creatures, and it's best to just like learn more and more of them. I think that that's like the best mindset that I've held is like just learning Kaylee and getting to know her and meeting her. You know, like don't always assume that you know the person. You assume that you don't know the person, and then you choose to get to know them. That's what love is.
Woo!
Oh, I
Woo!
love that.
Awesome.
How did how did you feel that, Nabiha, just now? I seen something in your smile. I seen something there. How did you feel what Trevor just said just now?
I think it was beautiful, you know? It was beautiful. You can get to know the person on your own too. It's a lot of
Yeah,
try we
yeah,
assume we know the people. Yeah.
100%.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, thank you
So
for that word. Thank you for
yeah,
that word. And, we've been coming on here. Well, now we've started back again, just starting up the podcast. This is the podcast, Chronic Perspectives, for the collective. And it's, we're on Spotify right now. We're on Apple Podcasts right now. So, with the group that we've been in, the fasting and detox support group. I don't know. You're both in that group, are you not?
yes, I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm in.
I
So
see
we just
you.
Yeah, I seen you in there. So we recently just had a group fast or a group, feast with people just going on different forms of liquid or forms of reducing their consumption. Were you able to participate in that?
I did it for 2 days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've actually been fasting quite some time now, but I like to kind of chime in with you guys too. But also the 2 days that I did it, it was kind of in conjunction with my moon sign and my sun sign, which is kind of already how I fast. So it was actually perfect.
Perfect. Perfect. So you said the moon sign and the sun. So what is the moon sign?
Yeah. So I'm a sun Libra, a moon Libra, and so when the moon is in your sun sign, when the divine feminine is mirroring the masculine, which is the sun, those are in conjunction, and so at that point you would fast for those 2.5 days, and then like I've actually kind of been teaching this is like a everything can heal within 3 days. And so that's where the best part is for people who don't even know about the breatharian path. They don't know what they don't know. Like they've never even heard of it. But they've heard of intermittent fasting because they want to be fit. And I find that so funny,
Yeah.
And so but 3 days tends to be the best that I found for absolute beginners, to heal all of the negativities in their body. And then obviously you can do like the mucoid plaque, which that's probably something I want to do next,
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're right.
Nice.
The Trinity, like they always say, third time's the charm, you know?
Precisely.
Yeah. And I
Third
feel like
time.
the third day is when you detox most,
Mm.
you know? You know how it gets harder on the third day for a lot of
Yeah.
people? Yeah.
Yeah. Like
So I
the
think
second day, you're not even hungry. And then the third day, you're like, okay, this is really deep cleansing.
mhm.
Mhm.
The deep
Yeah.
cleanse always starts at the third day. I noticed, yeah.
I wonder, why that is. For you, Carol, how is it for you? And also, just as Trevor was saying, how people are just getting introduced to these concepts like intermittent fasting, juice cleansing, air
Mhm.
feasting, water fasting, all this stuff. What was the first, fasting concept that you were introduced to?
This was Back, I'm sure it's like 10 years ago, when I started fasting, I did water fasting. So that was the first perception I had that I can fast. And also, I'm Christian, so fasting to pray, and that was my first encounter of fasting in Christianity. And then I did a water fast, and I did juice fasts, freshly squeezed juices fasts,
Mm.
and coconut water fasts. But unfortunately, there's a lot that I've been going through. So I tend to go back, which is, I'm learning to be very patient with myself,
Mm.
and learning what it is that I need to work on and need to heal.
Yeah.
So I'm using the fast to get to know myself even more. So
Beautiful.
yeah, my impressions of fasting are from Christianity, praying and fasting, and also the food fasting. Yeah,
Okay.
intermittent fasting, I don't really know it much, but I see that a lot of people do it. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Wow. Carol, thank you for sharing that. Like that's beautiful. I love that you're patient with yourself, you acknowledge yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
you give yourself that love, that acceptance, and really that grace. It sounds like grace is a word that just came to me,
Mm-hmm.
that you give yourself that grace and compassion when you're feeling that way, because I'd love to hear from Nabiha whenever you get in those moments where you are going through a lot, but you're going through a fast, you know, but you're going through a lot, like maybe emotionally, maybe mentally, maybe outside, externally, maybe your world is kind of a little bit shaky. How do you get through it without trying to force or like push yourself through it? How do you make it through those days?
I need to think about that because I think I naturally fast when I'm going through a lot of things.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's for me. It's like I'm going through a lot of things. I don't know when I'll have time to think about eating. So I always thought like, why would I sit and eat when I'm going through all of this? So I will be all over the place. I will be here and there, here and there. I may not do one thing and focus on one thing. That's my problem. But I would be all over the place, but food would not be my focus. So I tend to forget when I'm going through a lot, and then I lose weight during that time. So that's the only time I know that my fast change. When I fast, sometimes, intentionally, or when I fast when a lot of things are going on, that's when I lose weight. But if I just, forget to eat, forget to drink, and I'm just doing something that I really love to do, I don't feel anything. I don't lose weight, and I don't feel like, fatigue. I don't feel like, I'm lacking something. But if I am going through a lot of things, it's like my body starts to eat itself because I'm not connected to myself,
mm,
and food is not even a thought because I've never find like food, like when you find food as a comfort, that's when you run to it, right? Because you always go to whoever you feel like I'll need a hug from, right? So if you're seeking a hug from a donut, then there's something that you need to look in within yourself and think like, okay, hey, why do I always run to the sugar when I feel this way? Why do I run to this? Because when you take the sugar, then the sugar wants some salt, and then the salt wants something else. So the body wants to balance
Yeah.
itself out. Then you go into that trip of just like going and eating and drinking and this and that. So you kind of, when you go through something and then you eat, you kind of like burying yourself,
mm.
you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that is very interesting. Interesting perspective. So what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it's not like Carol was saying it's tough sometimes to fast when you're going through something.
Hmm.
You're saying you automatically fast when
Yeah.
you're going through
Total
it.
opposite.
Totally the opposite. Yeah. But that's why, Carol, you have to ask the question, why do you seek the food when you're going through something?
Mm.
Right? Is the question, it's deeper than the food. It's not the food. The food is not the enemy, It's much, much deeper than the food. It's like, why do you feel like, why does it bring you comfort when it actually brings you discomfort? Because every time you do eat, right, it's like there's something inside of you that wants to punish you. So why do you want to punish yourself is the question, right? Because you don't even, you find pleasure in it while you're eating, but you also know that this is hurting you, right?
Yeah.
You already know. It's like an alcoholic. When they drink, they know they're gonna get drunk, they know they're gonna make trouble, and tomorrow it's like, oh, what did you do, you know? But it's still the bottle in front of them, they will pick it up. There's something within themselves that's picking the bottle up. They fight with themselves. So it's like having a fight with yourself. Why do you seek the food? Why do you want to hurt yourself? It's the question.
Yeah. I think there's a speaker that I used to listen to, very influential. He says there's a death instinct in all of, like, this people, we have a death instinct. You know, it's like
Yeah.
and yeah, the question why, I don't know.
Hmm. I
I
know
don't
you.
know
I know.
why. Yeah.
Death instinct.
Yeah.
Whoa. I gotta write that down. I gotta remember to write
It
that down.
makes so
Death
much
instinct.
sense, though. It makes so much sense. It's not like you hate yourself. It's not like you want to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But there is that instinct in there, you know. It's there, but it's like I would say you're in the right on the right path because you do question it. Some people don't question that. They keep on going,
Mhm.
keep on going, keep on going, and our body can get very large. You know, we can accumulate all kind of diseases. You're not feeling good. You're just burying yourself more and more. But now you're alert. You know that you have a problem. You know, when an alcoholic is an alcoholic, they only can get help when they admit to it. When they say, "I
Mm.
am an alcoholic," that's the only time they can get help. You know.
Mm.
So recognizing all these little steps and everything that you're doing, you are on the right path, and you will eventually find out why. Yeah.
Okay. So one more question before we move on, because I want to ask Trevor something, but right before we do that, Nabiha, there was a question down here that I believe you could answer, or you could speak on this.
Hmm.
Sophia Antoinette, much love. Thanks for joining us. Sophia says, I am pregnant and fasting is not advised. However, I have noticed how much better I feel when I wake up when I have had less to eat the day before. So could you speak on that because you've been in that scenario?
I, for me, when I was pregnant, I naturally fasted. It's like I felt like the kid inside me was the one deciding, you know. I remember the doctors telling me, you know, you have to eat this, you have to eat that, but I couldn't, you know. So I decided to just fast. So one of my kids, at least my daughter, when I was pregnant with her, I was I was completely like, you would say I would drink sometimes here and there, but I wasn't eating, you know. I'm not saying don't eat when you're pregnant or when you're breastfeeding, but if it makes you feel better, it's not like the food that you eat that goes directly to the baby. It's like what is already in your body that's creating the baby. And even the breast milk is the same thing. It's what's already stored in the body that becomes like the breast milk, and it's not like the thing that you put in your mouth right now. So what I used to do is like I used to fast from sunrise to sunset.
Hmm.
And then I would have something in between there, and then next day the same thing, because I felt so much better when I wasn't eating. You know,
Oh,
so if you want to fast, it's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. But I wouldn't say dry fast throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Thank you for that advice. I trust that, you know, that she heard you. I think she's still here, so I'm pretty sure she got that message.
Yeah.
So,
Follow how you feel.
mhm,
Yeah, follow how you feel. It's not how, you know, sometimes some people can look good, but then they feel
right,
bad, you
right.
know, yeah. So follow how you feel.
You know, while Nabiha was speaking earlier, Trevor, it looked like some light bulbs were going off. Like you were smiling, you were like giving a thumbs up, like you were agreeing. What were some of the things that were resonating or connecting for you?
Well, I think a great perspective is addressing, so acknowledging, like, the first thing is admitting, like that you the first step of the 12-step program about emotional eating specifically
Mhm.
is that eating is emotional and it does release dopamine. It is a drug. It's the most unknown drug to this day, like it's the most it is a known drug. What I mean is it's the most diluted. Like we don't consider it to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And two, also to iterate for the people who are like transitioning or they do different things, whether they are intermittent fasting or whether they are just doing a day fast or out of the entire month and whatever. I think that a very big thing here specifically is to cultivate pranayama. And pranayama is like that's the way that you're feeding, and two, if you're not there to fast yet, you probably have to stop the dehydration first, because there's all these fake foods. We were just talking about Chick-fil-A and Taco Hell and all these other things, and the problem with this is that these have no nutritional value in them. And before we can even speak on breatharian, that all food is corrupting of the body, we have to get to the point that we first have to give ourselves so-called good foods that have nutrients to begin with, to counteract the balance of all of the negative foods we put in our body for years. And so I'm not going to take too much time.
No, go ahead.
Ultimately,
We got time.
yeah, absolutely. Great. Ultimately is that we have all these different foods. So like, let's just use flour or tortillas or things like this. Yes, they might taste so-called good, but the thing about it is that it actually takes the energy from the body to be able to digest it. And so if like we talked about, me and Jerome had talked about this on one of the calls that we were on, is that if you're a whole being and you have to, and then you eat something, let's say it's Taco Hell or let's say whatever, if you were to do that, it actually takes the energy from your body to digest this and move it through your body. And then they are, funneling billions of dollars. So then that food never perishes. Like how that McDonald's stayed there for hours and hours and hours and hours and days and days and days, months. And from that's staying in your gut. And then that is actually not moving through, which your gut is your first brain. And so just, you kind of get what I'm saying. But I think that cultivating pranayama and just hydrating are the two main factors before you should even consider eating. I told this to my fiance as well, is it's like a lot of times when we're actually hungry, we're actually just thirsty because we're dehydrated from the food we ate a month ago.
Exactly. That's why when you detox, you don't get thirsty.
Exactly.
Yeah, when people eat McDonald's, immediately when they eat McDonald's, they will drink so much.
That's why they have the super size me, right? Like they have the soda right next to the fries.
When
You got the
I
soda.
came to America and the soda was this big, I have never seen anything like that.
So I'm a server.
This big. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah. I'm a server, and the water cups are smaller than the soda cups in America.
Yeah, I believe that. They don't
blows my mind.
You said you were a server, Trevor?
Yeah, so I do serve still to this day, but I'm transitioning. So I'm a hybrid. I work on my business and trading, and then I'm a server in the Matrix. So ultimately,
you've been in the back. You've been in the back. Yeah.
I used to be a server too, so I know how that is.
Yeah.
Same as well. Yeah.
I'm very ready to just be 100% on purpose,
Yeah, I love that. I love
Sure.
that.
And just real quickly, with your fiance as well, with Kaylee, were you the one that introduced her to like all these fasting methods and modalities, or did she already kind of know about these things before you two came together?
Yeah, I think she's been knowing about intermittent fasting and stuff. I think that the breatharian and the liquidarian and the more, I guess, advanced like pranayama and those things, that came along with me. And I think that I'm classified as, the crazy person, but I don't mind. I enjoy it. I know and I know I'm not, and I know that I share good family. And I think that that's the the main thing. And so, yeah, she's been knowing about fitness and different things. And I think I've actually helped her. I guess what I call it is like hybrid training.
Hmm.
So it's like implementing breath work. Like we're told to breathe when we're working out, or we're told to breathe when we're doing cardio.
Mhm.
But to actually, when you're resting or when you're taking a minute and a half break in between sets, to actually do a set of breath work
Hmm.
to really bring more energy and chi into the body. And then you will actually have that energy to put out in your output when you're working out and stuff like that too. So just implementing things like that for anybody, but yes, for specifically for Kaylee, yeah,
Hmm.
100%.
Great
I
advice.
love that.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. And, Carol, I don't know if you told us earlier, Carol, about, when it comes to your family or when it comes to your children, how they take to these types of topics. Like, did you tell us about that?
Yeah, so my oldest son, they all grew up with veggies, fruits and veggies, from when they were small, since I was breastfeeding them.
Mhm.
Um, but now I don't know how the chicken and and other foods cripple in, but they now eat like meat. Um, yeah, but my oldest one, he's very conscious of what he's eating. But unfortunately, he's addicted to the food, so he knows that, oh, I need to, when I'm angry, he needs to go and sit at a place and just try to calm down. He knows that, he can eat fruits and they juice a lot. They do smoothies. But because of a lot of circumstances that have happened, unfortunately, some food came into to our family. And
Mm,
but little by little, we will take them out and go through the process.
mm.
Yeah. I think when they come and live with me, it's going to be much better and easier.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Question
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
Carol. When it comes to Africa, right? And you said you raise your kids with just fruits and smoothies and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
you introduced them to meat first. How did other people think about you? Because I know the African
Oh,
culture
yeah.
myself. I know the African culture. So how did they take the lifestyle that you had while you were in Africa?
Good question.
Yeah. Everyone in our family, their grandmother, like whenever they go to their grandmother, they'll like try to give them something. Or that's how it actually came in. That's how it came in. They went to their friends and they were eating chicken, and they will be served like mushrooms, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay," but they tried it. So the perception is you're probably not getting enough nutrients.
Mm,
The kids are too
Mm.
skinny,
mm,
and they're supposed to be, big. That
mm,
shows health, and
mhm,
apparently, when you're big, you're healthy.
mm,
And yeah, so whenever they go to gatherings, we had to keep to ourselves more, be
mm,
away from everyone else. But I had friends as well who have kids, and she gives their kids, good food.
mhm.
So we'll hang out more with them. But in general, other people in Africa, like you have to eat meat.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to eat meat.
And you said you have to.
Yeah, they they
Not have
they
to, but like it's perceived as like you're weird when you
yeah.
don't eat meat.
It's
Yeah.
like
Like why
Like,
are you not
becomes
eating?
a vampire,
Yeah, everywhere you
Literally.
go.
You have to
okay.
drink the blood too to become one of us. Now you're not one of
Yeah,
us. It's the
yeah.
weirdest thing. What if I go and visit my aunt right now? All she will talk about is like, oh, when I take you to Africa, you're gonna eat meat. I told because I have to explain. They don't understand, my lifestyle. So when I tell her why I don't eat meat, I gave them excuses like, just to make the conversation short. I told them like, oh, when I came to America, the food in America, how they slaughter, and then I used their religion because in their religion it says, if the lamb sees the knife that you are slaughtering it with, you are not allowed to eat it because now it's
Okay.
traumatized,
Yeah.
right? So when you see like halal meat, it's like a animal that's intentionally with the prayer, and they pray over them, and that's how they slaughter them. So,
Yeah.
but nowadays I tell them, like, it's not like that anymore. The animal is already raised to be, food. So they already grow up with that trauma. So I don't want to eat traumatized meat. And then she would look at me, and then you can see
What book was
the
that too?
Quran.
So I,
Quran.
Quran,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just double checking because like that's so interesting. I've never heard that.
Yeah, like there's so many clues in the religion. At least I've picked up a few on on the Quran. But it's a lot of things that they forbid, and then you understand. The other day I found out why they forbid, nail polish. Every Muslim woman cannot wear nail polish, and they only wear it when they are not praying. So then I realized, okay, now I understand why. It blocks your fascia system, and water cannot go through it, and then that means like your whole body is like kind of trapped. You know, so they don't, and even the 5 times prayer that they do, it's like a yoga. You know how they're bending, how they're standing up 5 times a day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a structure. But I explained to my aunt like that, and then her excuse is, okay, the animal in Africa are done right, so you're gonna eat that one. So
Wow.
she's going to serve me one in Africa. So yeah, I tell her like, yeah, that day, when that day come, I will eat that. I will eat that meat with you. I know it's not gonna come.
She'll remind you when you're in Africa,
She
like,
will
oh,
I know.
remind
I know we're not gonna be there together.
She'll let you know. She'll let you know. One more thing, Nabiha, before we switch gears.
Hmm.
Sophia Antoinette, she asked earlier, or she said earlier, she mentioned that a master faster who I know swears by herbal teas being a source of nutrients. Now, you are an herbal tea master. You're a tea master, period. You
mm,
know, so what can you speak to this Nabiha when she said that, herbal teas being a source of nutrients? Can you talk about that?
I mean, it is mine. I was just talking to my cousin about it. I sip on my teas, but my teas are not just one type of tea, right? I see this exotic flower, and I'm like, oh my God, that flower. Let's connect, right? And then I read about the flower. I will know, like, okay, what part of my body it's connecting, and then I will drink that. So I have so many different relationship with my herbs. And I believe herbs are the medicine. That's the real medicine. Instead of all of these pills and everything, if you drink your little dandelion here, your nettle here, your lotus flower here, like a little bit here and there, you are actually taking care of your body. And you're not filling yourself, like you're not stuffing yourself with food. It's it's better for me to drink 1 cup of tea than having a whole plate full of whatever. There's no nutrition in that. That's why people take supplements. If your food had nutrition, what would you take supplements?
Yeah, I remember taking all those supplements. Even do y'all remember the Flintstone vitamins? The Flintstones? Do y'all remember that?
Yeah, you know it.
The one a days, the Flintstone vitamins. When I was younger, I was taking supplements. They had me on
Mm.
all sorts of medications and supplements, and thinking that I was getting all sorts of stuff. You would have thought I was deficient in everything. You
Your
know.
parents were so thoughtful, you see.
Got you the ones that appeal to your eyes too. The
Yeah.
Flintstones with the gummies and the glucose and the sugar and the
Yes,
gelatin
the
and
marketing is on
the
point.
You know
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
You know it. It's like it pops out. For children. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
They put it on a lower shelf so you can just grab it, your length. Yeah, it's sugar.
It's
yeah.
crazy. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, I was gonna say it's psychotic.
I mean, you don't
yeah.
you
But I
don't want to
held
say
my
it,
tongue. I was gonna be stoic, but you saw me,
Yeah, like you don't want to say it. Like, I mean, they shadow ban us for saying it's psychotic. They
They do.
typecast us. They put us over there just for like. I mean, when you think about it, it's sort of weird. It's bizarre. I remember I was talking with Professor Spira. If y'all know Professor Spira,
Yep.
Yeah.
awesome guy.
He's on the meat. He's definitely on the meat wavelength too. Like I still consume meat, by the way, Carol, just so you know, like you're not the only meat eater in the chat right now. I was also vegan for 5.5 years. I initiated myself into breatharianism, where I literally went for 6.5 days. So a lot of things. But yes, Professor Spira, he's the man.
Yeah.
He's lit.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me about the mucusless diet, and Professor Arnold Ehret. Professor Arnold Ehret. He's a big proponent of Arnold Ehret and the mucusless diet,
Veganism.
rational fasting, and just different things of that nature. And I remember he said, Jerome, when you really think about it, it starts to feel like bizarro world. When you think of the propaganda, the programming, the perpetual programming and conditioning of, you're driving on the highway and you see a billboard with these two cows, and they're painting on the billboard, "Eat more chicken," right? Now he's thinking to himself, why is a cow
Yeah.
telling me to eat chicken? Then he goes to the store and he sees, like, a pig, and he's on the cover of this bacon, packaging. The pig is on the cover of the bacon, and the pig is like smiling at you. Why is a pig telling me to eat bacon? You know?
But
And you
people
see,
also desensitize. They can't even see it. It's a pig. It's showing it's a pig.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
I
cow. It's
just
a
saw a
chicken.
t-shirt. I just saw a t-shirt like that too. I just saw a t-shirt like that like 2 days ago.
mhm,
Oh.
yeah.
So
Yeah. My kids, they know that like whenever they want to eat something, they can't call it any other. Like, there's no beef in my house, so like, oh, you want to eat cow,
oh
or oh, you want to eat pig? Like, you can't say pork or also a beef, or
mm,
we don't rename them, so we name them exactly the animal,
Wow.
Mm,
so
yeah, I love
I
that.
so that we're not
That's smart.
desensitized to
I
it.
get
Yeah.
it. Okay.
The
Yeah.
desensitization.
Yeah.
That's a great point,
Yeah.
Carol. Great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are so desensitized. I can't even say the word. But
Yeah. Because it
Not
takes,
sensitive to it.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just kind of distances, it creates that cognitive dissonance and creates that separation between you and a life,
Mm-hmm.
another life that has a heart, that has a brain, that has emotions, that has feelings, that has a family, that
Hmm.
has children, that has, that
Hmm.
breathes, just another
Hmm.
life form. And when you guys were talking about just like you said, the psychotic and just the sinister nature of, I just remember in my mind, Trevor, I see Toucan Sam, smiling in front of those Fruity Loops, right? Toucan Sam, follow your nose wherever it goes, right? I see the leprechaun on the Lucky Charms, right? They're magically delicious,
Yeah.
right? I
Mm.
see the cinnamon toast crunch. I see the Captain Crunch. I see the Cookie Crisp, right? I see like all of these different things, and it's absolute like zero nutritional value. Like you said,
Yeah.
zero,
Zero.
Or
zero.
even negative too.
Yeah,
Like it is zero. But if it has to take your
yeah.
nutrients to digest it,
Mm.
it's a
It's taken away
negative
from you.
nutrient.
It's so
So it's
true.
like, but I was eating it for years. I was gobbling it up for years, just sitting in front of Dragon Ball Z, watching Goku go Super Saiyan 3. You
Yeah.
know,
You're like, man, I'm trying to go Super Saiyan.
for years.
I
Yeah.
mean, when we were kids, we went into that trap, and I feel like when you're older and you know how you feel, and again, when you're a kid, you can bounce back from that. Your energy,
Mm,
you can use that energy and it bounce back. But when you don't have so much, energy to give, it takes away so much, and that's why people get sick and everything. So, as an adult, if you can feel your body and you feel like, like the mucus, when you eat something, mucus builds up in your body.
Mhm.
You can't even breathe right? So those kind of signs could tell you like, okay, hey, this is not for you. But you can never talk to someone that really believes in the meat, because the meat will speak through you. The same energy speaks through the person.
Mm.
Yeah.
I that That actually comes too from the Essenes. So like that's kind of what I study is the Essenes, and how it's not necessarily that any food is necessarily bad,
Hmm.
but it's how you consume it. It's like if we look at the native Aboriginal indigenous beings of whatever continent, if we look at the beings who lived in tribes, a lot of them would eat meat,
Hmm.
but they had a different ritual and respect for the animal
Exactly.
rather than just breeding to eating.
Exactly. That's what my family knows too, you know? Like they think they get sick of the meat here in America, but not in Africa, because they had a ritual. And trust me, people don't eat meat all the time. They don't
Yeah.
eat, they didn't used to eat meat all the time. Even in their religion, you know, when I read it, it's like when they're celebrating. When someone is born, someone is dead, or someone's getting married or something like that. Those 3 times, so like a special occasions, they would slaughter one animal, and that animal was like a sacrifice, you know, for this event. So they would pray over it and they would do, you know, that's how it was used. And like you said, like everything that you put in your body, like it's not the food. The food is not the enemy. It's the energy it holds and your mindset. Like if I just consume genetically modified vegetables, I might as well just eat meat. You, you know, I might as well just eat meat because it's just like the only thing that's different because plants are alive too, but these are like genetically modified. They're not even real. It's like eating the McDonald's because the meat in McDonald's is not real. It's the same thing. So you recognize when something is alive, and when you respect it, it will actually nourish you somehow. But if you eat it with disrespect and you just gobble it and you just whatever you do, you disconnect it from it, most likely it will hurt you, no matter what it is. Yeah.
100%.
Even like you can see like fruitarians drinking juices all day long. You don't see that, liveness in it because of when they consume the fruit that they are eating or drinking, that is consuming them back as well. Because it's an energy thing. You have to, just like the animals, like you say, the Native Americans were doing, they will connect with it, and they have that connection with what they're praying over and everything. It's the same thing with your plants, like your pineapple. Everything is alive. But genetically modified, it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
Man-made products, and when you put it in your body, it's gonna take a different energy. You can't digest it. It just sits there. It's just not. It's not food, literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's energy. It's all energy.
So
Yeah.
speaking on that, oh, Carol, did you have something?
Yeah. Wanted to another thing that has changed when what I've noticed here, there's a lot of
Mm.
coffee. And
Yeah.
maybe it's because people drink coffee. Like when you don't drink coffee, it's like, oh, are you okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of coffee, and I think it's because everyone is walking around with they don't have energy, so they need energy from the coffee and the
Yeah.
caffeine.
Yeah. Because of the food is taking all the energy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
one.
Hmm.
That's a huge one. I could speak all day on the caffeine and like, oh man, that
They're
has.
eating too many negative foods. They're not eating positive light food, or their balance is unbalanced.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Oh,
not the food. I see a lot of people, hating on different things. And, there are some people that were vegan, now they eat meat. And it was just, some people had eating disorder, you know?
Mm.
And then they would go into this fruitarian, this, that. And then they would look, very skinny or very like, sick. And then people will constantly tell them, if you ate meat, you will look better. If you ate meat, you'll be this. If you ate meat, you will this. It's just the mind, you know? It's not the meat, but it's the mind that's disconnected. So if you connect your mind and you eat the right alive foods, you will be vibrant. So it's not, yeah. Meat does not fix it here in the United States, at least, I would say.
so, on that note, we do have a question from Kang. Now, Kang the Conqueror, she's been in a lot of our Qigong sessions. Shout out to Kang. So she's asking, Nabiha, do you see the question?
I see a lot of things,
Okay, so
but
I
I
just
don't.
popped up the question. But she's asking, hey, Jerome and Nabiha, do you only consume liquids? What does a day of liquid consuming look like for you? Now, I can answer for myself first. These days I do consume, I definitely do consume. Since 2019, I don't go past vegan. So before 2019, I was eating everything. Before I moved to California and met the monks and nuns who basically changed my whole life and just changed my whole paradigm. Ever since then, with fasting, not fasting, eating, not eating, I've gone up and down, in and out, back and forth. So I know how addictive it is. And it was never more addictive and never felt more restrictive or vindictive in my vessel when I went my longest dry fast, which was about 14 days or so. So when I went that dry fast and I went back to eating, it felt like a full-blown drug that I could not stop. Like how they talk about heroin, like when you take this heroin, you're gonna be hooked from here on. That's why they used to call it heroin. It felt like that. It felt like I was hooked on a substance
Mm-hmm.
and I could not stop. And I was eating everything. I was in downtown Los Angeles. You know the story. I went to that food truck and I went to that convenience store and I went to that gas station and I went to that grocery store and I went to that restaurant and it was like back to back to back. And I was putting my finger down my throat. I was purging and then I was eating more and then I was purging. I was eating more and I was purging. I was eating more. And this was in like a 3-month span back in year 2020. So it took a lot of like circling back to Carol, it took a lot of grace, self-love, acceptance, and compassion to get out of that cycle because I was just going down, down, down. The spiral was just going down. And the guilt and the shame and the blame frequencies kept me going down. But after I seen a documentary called Earthlings. So this is kind of like those documentaries like, The Game Changers, What the Health, they got Earthlings, they got Dominion. I never made it to Dominion, but when I saw Earthlings, that was it for me. So personally, vegan has never even been about longevity for me. It hasn't even been about like health for me. It's been about the animals. And I never even thought that that's what it would be for me because I was raised eating carnivorous. I was raised on a meat-centric diet. My whole family still eats. I'm the only one in my family that I know of that lives the way I live.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my lifestyle. And I mean, a day of juicing, when I was juicing, a lot more, a day of juicing for me, I guess probably less than 2 liters, not really like 3 liters, not pushing too much. But, I'd go to the grocery store, I'd get some apples, some celery, some lemon, hook it up with some ginger. I'd have fun in there. I would be like a chef, like a juice chef, and just Nabiha got me this, she showed me where to get this masticating juicer on Amazon. It's still here today. It's one of the best juices I've ever had. And it just squeezes out like all of the fiber and just leaves you only the liquid. And that's what I was living on. For 2.5 years, I lived on nothing but juice, coconut water, and teas. And that was what was doing it for me at that time. So yeah, Nabiha, do you want to answer the question as well?
Yeah, sure. It won't be as specific as yours because I don't even know my own.
Love
Oh my God.
it.
Yeah, when it comes to me, I don't see it as fasting or juicing or this and that. I really don't. I don't feel like I'm following any plan. But my daily life and how I grew up, I was always a drinker. I prefer drinking rather than sitting in front of a plate and then chewing. Chewing was always like doing to me, It was always like, oh my God, I'm tired. Like my friends knows me, like when I'm doing, I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired, And while I'm chewing, my excitement for the food will expire. So I don't even want whatever that's on the plate. And I always used to wonder, how can I keep that, excitement of, wanting to eat? But I never managed. So throughout my whole life, I tried to learn how to eat. So for my journey was the opposite. So I went on a journey where I needed to learn how to eat like the other people because I would just sip on my little, like when I used to drink other juices that are not so healthy, I would go walk around with a little bottle of juice and sip on it throughout the day. I would have my teas. There was a time I used to try coffee too, and coffee would be something I would be sipping on too. But then I realized it makes me feel so, I don't know how people feel energized, but it makes me feel like the opposite. If anything can sit me down, that's the coffee. It makes the opposite. Um, when it comes to how much juice I consume during the day. Oh, that's I don't actually know. I wouldn't say it's a liter. I wouldn't say it's a glass, but it's between one glass and two, and I can walk around all day and sip on that. But I'm not the kind of type of person that would restrict myself and say, hey, I'm just on this liquid because I can't chew my fruits. If I want to chew my fruits, I will chew my fruits. And I will eat solids just to keep my system so it's hybrid basically. I don't want to go one way and now I choke on a little spaghetti and I can die of a spaghetti. So what kind of strength have I gained? So I try to make my system stay hybrid. So I do consume a little bit of solid here, and then I sip on my teas and juices. And yeah,
That's
I just,
that's a good
yeah,
point. That's a great point that you talk about the hybrid because you don't want to go so far that a zucchini noodle takes you out of here.
yeah,
You know,
because you can go
because
that far.
yeah, like we've seen it where your body will restructure and reframe and then reweave itself into a level where you can't digest anymore. Like it forgets how to digest. There were times where I was scared. I was like, do I even know how to, does it remember how? It was like it was just lodged in my chest and it wouldn't move. And I was like suffocating. So I mean, there were times where I had to do like what you might call an emergency enema because I thought I was so plugged up. I was like, and it was something small. It wasn't even a huge meal. It was something small. And I was like, yo, I got to get this out of here because my body doesn't remember how to do it. So I had to my body had to remember even how to digest food because it'd been so long since I'd chewed anything.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is definitely, it can be worrisome when you get to those levels. And going back to what you always say, Nabiha, it's the mind.
It's
You
the
know, the
mind, yeah.
mind definitely has an effect on the body for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
delete what we
Mm,
know.
yeah.
In the leader.
Yeah, once vegan, you cannot really delete it. You just, yeah,
Yeah.
you always um not stuck, but you always have when you look at meat, you always think of the animals, you think of
Hmm.
your body, you think of, so it's always in the head.
Hmm.
You can't
It's
delete
always hard.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't become vegan because of diet at all. I don't feel like veganism has anything to do with diet. It's an ideology. It's you believe that these animals are the same like me, which they are. You know,
Yeah.
they have feelings but again, 99% of the world consumes it. So I'm not demonizing, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not saying it's bad and it's this and that. Everybody's on their journey.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sure. For sure. Well, I mean, this has been amazing. So let me see if we have any more questions before we leave. We have, okay, Travlon Music. Travlon is asking, interesting. He's saying, why do birds enjoy eating bread? I don't even know how to.
I can answer that. Human
Okay,
taught them.
go ahead. What?
Humans taught them. Who baked the bread? The bird didn't bake the bread. You will never see a bird going and baking the bread.
Chicken or the egg, y'all? Chicken or the egg? Bird or the egg first? Which one came first?
I used to feed the birds, and I know humans have kind of like conditioned them too, because the crows that will come to me in the morning, the day I have like my neighbors, kids, when I order like McDonald's or whatever for them, and they have like a sleepover with my son, or when the kids will have a sleepover and they have these McDonald's bags and whatever, I toss that over the fence, and I know the crows will favor the McDonald's.
The
They
crows.
they know how McDonald's look like.
Oh,
They know what how. It's the weirdest thing. I would put something else there, they would not take it. But then I would put like a McDonald's little box or something like that in front of it. They will come and get it.
The feast for the crows, feast for the crows. You know, it's crazy because when you talk about like just the domestication of these other
Mm,
species when it comes to, these lab grown, human grown food, these experiments,
mm,
you know, I remember I was in Utah, I was in Zion in this hiking trail in Utah, and there was this big old sign. Now, first, before I saw the sign, I seen these squirrels in Utah. If you've been to Zion in Utah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. These just majestic mountains and hills and these. I mean, I was there with one of my friends and we were just hiking. We were having a ball, and there were these squirrels that were chilling. I'm talking. I know it was hot outside, but they don't chill like that out here. Like they don't just, like people were passing by these squirrels, like inches by these squirrels, and they were just on the rock, just laid out, just chilling in the sun, like propped up, like their feet was on the couch changing channels. And then the squirrel would just come up to you. The squirrel would literally come up to you, and you could put your finger and you could touch the squirrel's little paws, like its little claws. And I even have a picture of me like touching the squirrel. And then I turned around and I saw a sign, and a big, huge sign said, "Do not feed the squirrels. Do not feed them."
They'll keep coming
They
back.
keep coming.
yeah. There's a park like that in California too for the ground squirrels. And they would come and sit on my lap. I used to bring a little bit of crackers and stuff. I fed them anyway, you know. But yeah, they are very friendly because of humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
like
people were taking
pigeons.
pictures. Oh man, they were taking selfies with the squirrel, like they were like,
Why
"Do not feed
why
them."
are the pigeons the roundest birds? You know, pigeons have like a different form. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh
We teach
man.
the animals that are more around us, they learn our ways. So we can't blame them.
We domesticate them.
Yeah, really. Because you don't see any tree moving out of its way to go and get nourishment. You don't see any animals, creating some refrigerator in their homes. You don't see any of that. It's just the human mind that have created all of these things because of we like when I talk to my family, for example, and they say like, okay, they never knew what food they would have next day. They didn't know if they had anything to eat for a month. It was like normal thing. Nobody looked like sick. Nobody looked like they needed some food. They were all living their life. But it was like occasionally it comes when it comes. Same thing with the squirrels. It's not like maybe they store some stuff. But other animals, they don't just store things to keep it in their home. So they just get it whenever it's available. And that's how it's supposed to be. Human beings should have food whenever it's available. If I lived in the forest, I wouldn't hoard a lot of berries. I would just pick whenever I'm walking in the forest. I would just pick whatever berries that's there and then eat it and then go about my day. But I wouldn't bring them home. That's when the problem starts, when you start hoarding stuff.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Like you said, one of your family members said, how far did they have to walk to the next town where they didn't know if they were going to get, they had maybe
Hmm.
days. You call them maybe days,
No,
where
he
they said, maybe
said
we'll
when
have
we
some.
lived the maybe life. He said when we lived the maybe life, that's when I was healthier. It was always like maybe today we will get something to eat. Maybe
Maybe.
there's, yeah, it was a maybe. It was always maybe. So he will walk, let's say, like he said, every day when he wakes up, he will wake up, he was so happy. He wake up, he get out of the hut, they lived in, and then the sun is shining, and he will walk miles every day just to go to the town or something like that. And then when he comes to the town, maybe some family is cooking or something, maybe it's their day today, right? So if it's his time, he will come on time. If it's not, he won't. So then he will wait the next day or whenever that day will be. Yeah.
And he said the people were the healthiest when it was a maybe.
Yes. They were healthiest when the food was never available all the time.
But when the food is consistent, like when you had no scarcity, when there was an abundance.
That's when you get sick.
Okay.
Because he compares America to Africa. And he's like, now I feel like I'm accumulating diseases, you know? Is it because of it's the food that's here all the time? And in their mind, you know, when they were back in Africa, they thought like, okay, we all go into abundance, you know, where you have food available all the time, where you have this available. But then when they come here and they see the food being available, it's like, okay, is this what I wanted?
Mm.
Is this what I
Mm.
signed up for? I always tell them, your green card is your health. You sign off your health.
Woo!
That's how
Oh.
you get. It's literally, that's all it
Bars.
is. Because when you come in, the requirement of how
Hmm.
many vaccines that you have to take is ridiculous. How many
Yeah.
times you have to go to a doctor because you come from Africa? They think you need some experts. Like, what makes you think we come healthy? This person came healthy, but since you're in the Western right now, there will be like, you know, doctors, what's so-called doctors that are gonna check you. They will give you this pill and this pill and this pill, and if your mind is instilled on like pills fix things, and they fix things in the Western, then you will take every pill, and then now their body's breaking down. Now they have diabetes, or they have high blood pressure, or you have
Yeah.
this and you have that.
Which is right where they want them. They want them right
Exactly.
Americanized and
But
everything.
how can you test the
Yeah.
medicines? They test it on the refugees.
Mm.
Hmm.
They test it on refugees because if I have my rights here in the United States as a human being, I would say no. The doctor cannot just tell me like, oh, today you have to come in, you will take this vaccine. I will question why. I don't want it. I didn't ask you. But a refugee thinks like, okay, the doctor knows. They will get like, my sister will just get a call from the doctor saying like, oh, you coming in? I'm like, what's your doctor calling you? What's your doctor telling you to come in for a vaccine or this and that? What would they remind you? Because it's a whole list of what they
Mm.
need to do just to, you know. So the green card is for the health. I always tell them, I remind them that, you know, you swap.
Your green card is your health card.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You're
your
swapping
health.
your health for the green card.
Oh man.
Hmm.
Gee.
Uh-huh. It's
That is
not even worth it. I wish I could give them classes before they can come in here. Show them like shows and everything, how people actually get sick and everything when they come to America, so they can stay, you know. But if the mind, you know, all my life I have seen SOS, you know, they save the children in Africa, starvation in Africa, look here, look
Hmm.
there, you know, all these little pictures and all of that
Yeah.
that we used to see all my life. That's what I used to see. So I also used to think that, okay, poverty, no food means like, you know, no health. But it's the opposite. They actually do have a good health out
mm.
there. You know, you will see a man who's just keep on walking. You ask him his age, he don't even know. He may be 120 something. He may not even know
Yeah.
because they don't keep up with no birth certificate. They
Yep.
don't
Yeah.
care about those things. It's like, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I
Not
have seen
important.
I have seen some of them talk about, you know, times that is, I'm looking at them, I'm like, are you that old? It's not even possible for you to talk about those times, you know? But it is. They're like 100 something. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that too because I feel like that gives people hope. Like on the breatharian path and a multitude of other things, even on a liquid path or a hybrid path. I just feel like it gives people hope that like we are very attached humans, doesn't even matter where we are, with youth. We like to be young and we like to be youthful. And I think that if we can figure out different ways of how to do this, this is how we help each other. And there's going to be some naysayers, going to be some people who don't believe you. There's going to be some people who say, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to do this. You're going to do whatever. And it's projected fear, you know, in psychology. But I think that the people who are doing it, the people who are like doing the extra fast, they're doing the longevity practices, they're consuming the even the longevity supplements, the good ones. You know, I think that by even just implementing some conscious decisions, is that's how people are going to evolve in their youthfulness throughout their life.
Mm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Agreed.
The people that
and
look.
don't believe other people, don't believe a doctor, or they have to take the Hippocratic
Mhm,
oath, so
mhm,
they're,
mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, think about it.
Right.
Yeah. Even the doctors in Africa are different. The doctors in Africa, they don't ask you about the problem. You know,
Mm.
tell me about what's wrong with you. Why are you here? Like, you know, they don't do that. Like, as my brother-in-law told me, he's like, when you go
Yeah.
to the doctors, they don't ask you, but here you are the doctor. You go to the doctor, they just prescribe something for you, but you tell them the problem, you know, and it doesn't even make sense. You know, they don't examine, they don't, you should have your own intuitions about like, okay, if this person is walking like this, you should feel it. You know, a real doctor really feels it. And you will only,
Exactly.
yeah, you can only be a doctor when you heal yourself, really.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that's the only way that you could teach someone how to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because you can see, you know, you can feel because you are in tune. But if the doctor read just books and now he have to remember, I've got Google too, you know. I can Google
Yeah.
my way.
That,
They call it Dr. Google. Dr.
yeah.
Google.
We have
And I've
Dr.
gone through it
ChatGPT
too,
now.
Yeah. I've gone through it too. I think that like fasting was the thing that healed me the most of pain, of internal things. And now I feel vibrant and light.
I
And
love that.
I can contribute that and associate that with fasting purely.
I love that. Yeah. Fasting is just a break. It's your system that needs to be just reset to its natural state, you know. That's
Yeah.
all it
100%.
is. That's all it is.
Just a little vacation,
Mm-hmm.
just a little
Just
hiatus,
it's a
right?
little remembrance. It's not even a vacation. It's like remembrance, like your natural state. Now you've been eating all your life. You know, every little food that you put in your body has like some type of effect. It's very settled. You know, everything is so very settled. But when you have had that in your system all your life, your system is been working all the time. So when you take a break, meaning like now you're resetting your system to its natural state, then you feel more alive
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah. Even the juicer. You just gave me a thought, Nabiha. Even the juicer, the masticating juicer.
Yeah, you need
So
to
the other
break
day,
too, right?
it was about. I thought something was wrong with it. I was like, do I need to return this thing? So the other day, it was working. It was grinding some lemons, and this is just a little lemon. It wasn't even something crazy, but like it had been grinding for so long that like after the apples and the lemons, like the things were going in, it started to
Stop. Yeah.
like it was slowing down, and then it was like stuttering, and then it just stopped. And I like felt the side of it. It was kind of warm, and I was like, what's going on? And it just stopped. And I was like, it's plugged in, and I plugged it in another outlet, and I plugged it in another outlet. I was like, it's done. It's not working. It's done, you know? But then sure enough, I waited like a day, and 2 days later, I plugged it back in. It's perfect. It works again. It works perfect again.
Yeah.
So even the juicer needed to fast.
Yeah. From digesting all of that. It's a work, you see that?
even
It's a job.
even the juicer was digesting. It needs to be resting, not always
Yeah.
digesting. Right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Um,
That's the message.
wow. So thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for joining us. Joining the
Thank
Nabiha and I.
you.
Carol, thank
Thank you.
you.
Mhm.
TC, brother Trevor, thank you. Thank
This
you.
this was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for bringing me on here.
Thank you
Yeah.
for being here. Thank you for coming on.
We'll have to do it
Both of
again.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's almost like eating.
It's
Like
refreshing. Exactly.
That was a meal, huh?
yeah, it's
Well,
like a meal.
well, this is our restaurant then. This is better than a restaurant.
They say they
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
call it conversation cuisine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Conversation cuisine, divine dining.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right.
So much love, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah,
You
you
too.
too. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.